Good afternoon and welcome to the IAEI 2021 Annual Meeting. My name is Michael Hopkin. I'm the chairman of the board. I'd like to start out by recognizing that today is indeed Veterans Day. I thank all the people who serve our country and protect our freedoms. All of us here in Texas appreciate your service, as I'm sure our members do from coast to coast. And not in Canada though, right? Different veterans there. We're going to start out this afternoon by introducing the board of directors. I am joined today by our CEO, Rudy Garza. Our entire board of directors is here except for a couple of new members, and the international staff is here in the room with us as well for today's presentation. At this point in time, we will begin the board introductions with Mike Forrester.
Hi, welcome. I'm Mike Forrester, non-enforcer member of the board from Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Start me?
Yeah.
Thomas Dimitrovich, the West Virginia chapter from Weirton, West Virginia.
David Humphrey, enforcer member, representing the southern section from Virginia.
Ken Masters, enforcer member, representing the secretaries, but I am from the southern section.
I'm Dave Williams from the Michigan chapter, and I'm the vice chairman of the International Board of Directors.
I'm Rudolph Garza. I am your president and CEO here at the International Office.
I am Michael Hopkin, representing the Eastern Section and the chairman of the board.
Hello, I'm Larry Kinney, enforcer member from the Eastern Section.
Good afternoon, Jim Rogers from the great state of Massachusetts. I'm the secretary of the Eastern Section and representing secretaries on the International Board of Directors.
Rick Hollander from the Southwestern Section. I'm an enforcer member. I'm also your nominating committee chairman. I'd like to remind you, if you have not voted, please do so now. Nomination voting will be closing shortly, where we can have accurate totals. I want to thank you all for participating.
Hi, I'm David Sanchez. I am a enforcer member with the Southwest Section as a secretary treasurer, as a secretary on the board.
Hello, Floyd Thomas, Northwest Section, enforcer member.
Thank you very much, everybody. And again, we have the international staff in the room behind us. I want to thank them all for joining us today and let them know how much we appreciate everything they do for the membership every day. It's their job to provide the services that we've all come to expect and rely upon from IAEI. We're very glad to have them. Very, very proud of the work that they do. At this time, we're going to have a meeting quorum statement from our CEO, Rudy Garza.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, we do not have a quorum present. It appears that we have 89 participants. We need 166 participants, but I will add that the electronic voting has met the quorum mandate. So as soon as we announce the vote totals, that will be official, because we did have well up to 500 people voting in that election.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. At this point in time, we'll turn it over to Rick Hollander for the nominating committee report and the election results.
Thank you all for participating. Thank you all for voting. I'm glad we were able to meet the quorum for the voting. This has been a long process. We started in June. I'd like to thank Laura Hildreth and Michelle Hutton for the help they've given me in getting this ready for the vote. And it just went very well. I'm glad there was a lot of people that applied. I thank all of you that applied. I thank all of you that didn't meet the qualifications. Please stay active with IAEI and continue to support us. Are we ready for a vote total? While she's doing that, I'd also like to thank Salvador Faust. He will be our legal specialist on the board of directors to help us out. He's not here present today, but I'm sure he's going to be a very helpful person to help us out. Okay, it looks like we have in the position Michael Savage. You will be the enforcer member on the board, and Tim McClintock will be the non-enforcer member on the board. Congratulations, gentlemen. We look forward to you coming and being a part of this board of directors. Thank you.
We have one more announcement on the elections, and that is our special member for the legal specialty was Salvador Faust, and he was successfully appointed to the position as there was no opposition to his candidacy. At this point in time, we'll turn the microphone over to Jim Rogers for the International Secretary Report.
Good afternoon. I have a very short report for you this afternoon. As stated, my name is Jim Rogers, and I was elected by the International Board of Directors to serve as a secretary to the board. As many of you may already know, the secretary position has a common thread throughout the organization as a record keeper and interface between the members and the organization. This year has seen a lot of changes throughout the organization, and this is true with the international board as well. The organization has slowly transitioned from COVID-19 related online meetings back to in-person meetings. The secretary is responsible for making sure that the bylaws are in order and properly utilized at all levels of the organization. To that point, the international board has developed and promulgated new international bylaws and rewritten new model bylaws to be adopted by all of the sections, chapters, and divisions. These new bylaws reflect many changes that have transpired at the international office, including changes in membership classifications and validating that all members are able to hold office and vote. I also want to mention the work done by the membership chairs that work at every level of the organization, assisting both new and existing members. This is a very important position and should not be taken lightly. Another important issue that the secretary is involved in is the annual report of financial conditions of the section, chapter, division, and the timely annual filing of IRS reports. Some sections, chapters, and divisions separate the secretary and the treasurer position. If so, these reporting requirements will fall on the treasurer. It is important to the entire organization that this reporting be done on time in an acceptable manner with the IRS. As we wind through these changes, I urge all the secretaries throughout the organization to stay in touch with the section secretary and the IO and relay information to the members at their regular meetings. I urge all members to stay engaged and inform their secretary of concerns they may have. And at their next meeting, please bring a new member. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. I did get an update. We do have two of our Canadian board members who are participating virtually, and that's Dan Langlois and Tim Pope. Dan is a representative on the International Board of Directors, and Tim Pope is the secretary of the Canadian section. So glad to have them on board as well. At this point in time, we'll have the finance and audit report with Rudy Garza, our CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Laura, if you could you bring up our year-to-date budget comparison? Great. So I just want to inform the membership that prior to this meeting, we had an executive committee meeting. And actually, the entire board of directors was able to participate since they were all here in town, our current members, not the newly elected ones. And we had our auditor and our contract bookkeeper present the financial statements and also our audit to us. So I just want to highlight some of the things that were highlighted by our bookkeeper during this process. So what I want to do is, can you scroll down, please? In terms of membership, year to date, we have collected $671,000 in dues. We had anticipated that by the end of the year, we would have collected $1,038,879. Ideally, at this point in time, we would be at 75% because these are through September 30th. at 75% of our goal. If you can see there, we are only at 64.62% of our goal. So we are running behind on our dues. Scroll down. Advertising income, we budgeted to collect 167,500 by the year's end. So far, we've collected 152. So we're behind by 15,448. But at this time, we should be at 75%. We're at 90%. This is one line item that we do believe that by the year end, we will exceed our income goal. Scroll down. When it comes to our publications, this is one of the areas where we are lagging behind severely. You can see that we budgeted to sell $717,000 worth of books. We've only sold 316,000. We should be at 75% of that 717, and we're only at 44.1%. So we are severely behind on our book sales. Seminars and education, we budgeted to bring in $408,000 through the end of September. We brought in $229,000. We are at 56% of our goal. Again, we should be at 75% by September 30th. So we are behind on that income goal. Other income, we budgeted to bring in $10,600. We've actually brought in $25,630. So we're over budget. We've been successful in that area. Scroll down, I think. Yeah, scroll down. There you go. In advertising, through September 30th, it looks like our expense, we're now in expenses. Thank you. Our operating expenses. If you can see in advertising, we had budgeted to spend 115. We've only spent 88. So we're right on goal with that. We should be at 75% in that expense category. We're at 77, just slightly over. Cost of goods sold. You can see the differential in the budget. Total cost of goods sold, we're at 64%. We should be at 75% of that expense. So we are below budget on that expense. Shipping and delivery, same thing. We budgeted $98,000 of an expense. We actually spent $55,000 so far through September 30th. We're at 56.65. We should be at 75. So we are below budget on that expense item. Staff expenses, we are right on budget. If you can see that 74.3%, we had budgeted $1,088,000 for the entire year. September 30th, we had spent $808,000. So we should be right on budget at the end of the year for our salaries and staff expenses. These are just our services, as you can see, that itemized on the left. We are below by about 5% where we should be. So we're doing good in that section also. We're at 70.3. This other office expense, we're right on target. We budgeted $283 for the year. Through September 30th, we spent $216. We should be at 75% by September 30th, and we are right there. We're at 76%. Advertising and marketing projects, we thought we would spend $105 by the end of the year. Through September 30th, we spent $67,000. So we are at 64.4% on that expense. So we are doing well in that area too by about 10%. Travel, we're doing very well in this area. We budgeted $106,000 for travel for the year. Through September, we've spent $26,000. So we're at 24%. We're literally 50%. We've saved about 50% on that particular item. And we don't foresee any more great travel expenses hitting that line item. The seminars, again, we thought we would spend $54,000 conducting seminars. We only spent 23 as of September 30th. We're at 43.37 of that expense, and we should be at 75. So again, we're doing very well in that expense reduction. Taxes, we have not received our property tax. That's why it's only 3.1% of our budget. When our property taxes come in, we will definitely meet budget of that expense. So the bottom line is that we have a net loss in terms of income versus expenses through September 30th of $184,742. Can you bring up the balance sheet now? This is our balance sheet, again, as of September 30th, which is our latest financial reporting period. So that marks 3/4 of the year. As you can see, our cash and cash equivalents is $958,000. Please scroll down. We have receivables of $139,000. Our inventory, which is our books and materials that we keep here in the warehouse, we have $330,000 worth of inventory. The next is our land, building and equipment here in the building, valued with accumulated depreciation at $963,561. We have other assets that are totaling $322,712, bringing our total assets to approximately $2.7 million. In terms of liabilities, our current liabilities total $51,730. Other liabilities are totaling $843,809. So you can see that the net assets, total net assets is $1.8 million. Total liability net assets is $2.7 million, which was the number up above. That's how you can determine whether or not you calculated correctly. One final note is, if anybody wants to see these financials, all you have to do is email me. They're obviously available to the membership. And now on to the audit. Our auditor made this presentation this morning prior to this meeting commencing. Our auditor is Tom Deering. He has been doing our audit, according to him, for up to 25 years, could be 30 years. So he's very familiar with our organization, and it's great to have that continuity with one single auditor. He states here in his opinion, some opinions that he's required to by law. And, you know, the basic question was, did he find anything that seemed to be mismanaged or anything noteworthy? He has documented in here that he did not, and he actually answered that question orally from one of our board members so that we could get it on record. So we have his answer orally also that he did not find anything. Continue to scroll down. This is just standard audit CPA talk. You can very quickly, at the end of last year, our current cash assets were $1.5 million. You can see the value of our building and furniture. Our property equipment total was $1 million. Our total, our other assets were $303,000. So at the end of last year, we had $2.831 million in assets. Current liabilities, $878,000. Total net assets, 1.9. Again, at the end of last year, that number matches that other number. That's how you know these calculations are correct. we had 2.831 million. This is at the end of last year, the unrestricted funds that we had on hand. It looks like the total program and services income was $1.9 million. Donor restricted was 1.3, total program and services expense 1.3. And what you can see is that we go all the way to the bottom, the net assets at the end of the year were $1.953 million. Don't want to get into a lot of this. These are detailed expenses. If you can go to the last page, I think it'll. There it is. So some notes that he had to add to the audit were significant events or subsequent events. You will see in these notes, if you do request a copy of our audit, which again is open to any member who requests it. He did make note at the very end about the current process we're going through with negotiations with the International Code Council. That's probably the most significant event that he noted. That concludes my report on the audit. Our taxes will be filed timely. As a matter of fact, I believe he's going to file them tomorrow. So everything will be submitted to the IRS on time. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Rudy. Again, you can reach out to the international office if you'd like a copy of any of the financials if you are a member of the association. At this point in time, we're going to have the report from me, International Chairman's report. And I also have just a brief note for you. I want to thank the board of directors for coming here, taking the time to serve the organization. I want to thank all of our directors and staff members for all the work they do. And I want to thank all the members for taking the time out of your busy day to attend this annual meeting by IAEI. You've made an investment in your career. When you become a member of IAEI, it provides networking opportunities, it provides training opportunities, it provides opportunities for leadership. If you'd like to grow and expand who you are professionally, this is one of the best places to do it. We have the best subject matter experts and the absolute best training here. If you want to be a better electrical professional, this is the association to do it. The annual meeting is here to give you an idea of where we are as an association. You've gotten the financial figures, and again, you've taken a look at our audited financial report. We're trying to operate in full transparency here. Obviously, the association has had some trials and tribulations with the COVID onset. The pandemic has hurt us. Meetings were canceled. Many chapters are still not meeting back in person yet. We canceled all the section meetings last year. This year we had them in person except for the Canadian. They were not permitted to hold an in-person event. A lot of us were home for months on end. We ventured out for groceries, we ventured out to put a little gas in the car, and that was it. We lost a piece of our lives, and we'll never get it back. What we can do is move forward from this point. There's nothing we can do about the past. The pandemic is what it is. It seems like we're getting enough people vaccinated now, and things are winding down, and that's a good thing. It's a testament to our economies, both here in America and in Canada, how resilient we are as people. That we've managed to come through this, and there's absolutely been pain. People have lost their jobs. We've actually had people that we know pass away because of the pandemic. It's been a tough go, but we are resilient peoples here in North America, and I am certain that we will prevail. I'm also certain that IAEI will prevail, and that's really what today's meeting is all about. Despite the challenges now, and with the Delta variant that cropped up and kind of gave us a small setback, I think we're going to come out of this better than ever. Rudy's going to tell you a little bit about, and he has already, about the exceptional work that the staff's doing and what goes on here at the association in Dallas. I am not based here in Dallas. As your chairman, I basically work from home, show up for a few meetings here in person. The International Board has worked very hard over the last year and a half to ensure that the association is healthy and strong. We did hire Rudy a year and a half ago. Very difficult process. We went through 140 resumes. The committee had to work solely by virtual meetings, And to do due diligence, we had to look at every single resume. And trying to get a group of 6 people together to agree on a time period and properly peruse the resumes in the course of an hour and a half meeting was quite a challenge. We did get through it. In the end, we hired Rudy, and I'm very, very pleased that we did. I, along with Vice Chairman Dave Williams, we worked very hard to get Rudy accustomed to the culture of IAEI. Electrical inspectors we're a different breed, okay? We don't necessarily think the way other people do. And Rudy is an association manager, and we hired an association manager on purpose, but he's not an electrical inspector. He's never been in enforcement. So it took some time for him to understand and acclimate to who we are as people, how our industry works, the way we think about things, how particularly detail oriented we can be sometimes too much so, but it is what it is. David and I have worked with Rudy to try and the entire board's been involved, but we're trying to give him the tools he needs to successfully lead the organization. There's been bumps in the road, big waves, little waves. Rudy's here to steer the ship. And it's been my great pleasure to work with him for the last year and a half to make sure that he acclimates to the job, the responsibilities, the people, the staff. And I've heard very good things from the staff about the morale here at the international office and everything else. So it's been a good ride so far. Rudy is responsible to the board of directors to do a couple of things. One is to implement the policies that this board of directors decides are the best way forward for the association. But beyond that, which is kind of the challenge of this position, he also has to run the business. He has to run the enterprise. So, you know, we have a staff, we have a building, we have taxes to pay, we have payroll to go out, we have insurance to buy, we have copier machines to break down. All of the things that go into running a business also fall on Rudy's shoulders. He has to deal with the contracts and our vendors. He has to make sure that publishing and education and materials are being put out. Rudy's doing a wonderful job, and I can tell you that I'm very, very happy to have him as our chief executive. I tell you with no reservations, we made the right decision. We hired the right person. I do want to recognize the staff at the international office. The amount of work that they do and how dedicated they are to customer service, to member service, really deserves attention. You call this office and somebody will pick up the phone. Somebody will address your problem. Somebody will find a way to get you the solution that you're needing. And I'm very, very happy. I want to let the entire staff know during this meeting how much we appreciate everything that you do for this membership. The board of directors, believe it or not, we work all year long, even though we're here in Texas only for one meeting a year, sometimes two. We have committees, projects, policy development, financial analysis, myriad other tasks that have to get done throughout the year to make sure that we're doing our job as your board of directors. We're elected by the membership to be here and oversee the business, if you will. We are all volunteers. I don't know if everybody is aware of that in the membership, but there's nobody here that's on the board that has a paid position. So the staff is obviously paid, you know, and then this is their job, but the International Board of Directors is just like your chapter and section board of directors. We are volunteers. We're here because we love the association. We love IAEI. We love its mission. I am privileged to serve with such an exceptional group of people. And I want to take a moment here and just thank the entire International Board of Directors for your counsel, your guidance, your friendship, and your allowing me the privilege to serve as the chairman of the board for the last 2 years. I'm a very lucky man. For almost 100 years, IAEI has been the electrical safety leader across the world. My priority, indeed our priority as your board, is to ensure that IAEI remains the electrical safety leader. Accomplishing that is going to entail some changes in the next year on how IAEI looks, operates, and is managed. It is not 1928. And for us to remain culturally relevant, we cannot act as though it is still 1928 when we started. So in the coming weeks, you're going to hear about our ongoing negotiations with ICC, and you will be presented with the opportunity to vote on a potential partnership with them. I do want to reiterate that The vote is up to the membership. The International Board of Directors does not have the ability under the bylaws to enter us into any partnership. That can only be done by a vote of the members. So please keep an eye on your email. When that vote comes out, we do need you to participate in the voting process. It is very, very important. What we're going to be asking you to vote on at that time will be the structure of the contract. So you will know what we're getting ourselves into. It's not just going to be a very simple, hey, should we partner up or not? You will know what the structure of that agreement will look like. So you will be able to see what the benefits are to both associations. Both associations have committed to a win-win scenario. Okay, we want to make sure that this is good for IAI. We want to make sure it's good for ICC, and that's how a good marriage begins. As most of you know, we published our responses that we received to the request for proposals. It is possible for every member to access that information. So it is currently online. So if you want to know why certain decisions were made by the board of directors, and it was at that time a unanimous vote, that information is out there. It's public right now. I invite you that if you have any questions, please start out by downloading and reading our request for proposals, the responses that we received, and then contact myself, Rudy, anybody on the board. We're happy to talk to you about what happened. We are indeed trying to operate with full transparency. I want to assure everybody there will be and are no backroom deals going on. In closing, I just want to hopefully share a little inspiration. I am in the end an electrician from Philadelphia, and that's all I am. This association has provided me with some incredible opportunities, has absolutely enhanced my career to levels that I never dreamt of. And that possibility exists for every one of you. Every person who signed into this meeting has the ability to serve on this international board. We have seats open that are reserved for you, even if you're not an enforcer. Okay, so you don't have to be an inspector to be here. I got to be chairman of the board. Yes, I've worked hard for IAI, but more importantly, IAI worked for me. And that's really what you want to look at. When you pay your member dues, what are you getting out of the association? There's a trade-off for those dollars. And for myself, I asked for networking opportunities. I received them. I asked for the best training on the planet for electrical. I received it. I sought out leadership opportunities, and I was privileged enough to have those afforded to me. And I've managed to rise up through the ranks of this association. It's absolutely been the greatest privilege of my life to be your chairman of the board for the last 2 years. I want to thank the international board, the international staff, our CEO, and all of you members along the way who mentored me and encouraged me and allowed me to have this privilege. But thank you very much. I hope you have a very good annual meeting. And that is the end of my report. At this point, we're going to move on to the Chief CEO's report. Again, we'll go back to Rudy Garza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a formal written report that we'll get to in just a second, but just to kind of tag on to a couple of things you mentioned, Michael. I think it's important for the membership to recognize how hard this board works. And particularly when it came to the decision to issue an RFP and then select someone to potentially partner with. I just want to assure every single member that that was not a decision that was entered into lightly with the board of directors. We had multiple committee meetings leading into it afterwards. Then we even had an executive committee meeting. Then we had a subsequent board meeting. I estimate that we probably had at least 25 to 28 hours of discussion on this one singular issue. And they took all things into consideration when finally making their decision. As Michael said, the board voted unanimously. And as a member of this organization, I think everyone should recognize that you have an opportunity, as you just did, to elect members to this board. But the function of the board members is to make these decisions on behalf of the members. Some of the inquiries that I've received asked, why wasn't the membership allowed to make the decision on which proposal to choose? That's not the role of the membership. you will have your opportunity at the appropriate time to vote yes or no on the contract. But you elect your peers to serve on this board because you put the trust in them to make the best decisions for this association. And that's what they did. And as your CEO, I can assure you that they did their due diligence in making those decisions regarding this particular issue. We did, one thing that Michael did not mention, we did have our initial meeting, myself, Chairman Hofkin, Vice Chairman David Williams. We went to Washington, D.C. We sat down with the CEO and the executive director of ICC. And I can honestly say, I don't think that meeting could have gone any better. They were completely open to every single thing we said. And they really want to enter into a win-win partnership. And they are willing to help us get back to 25,000 members in any way possible. And that's really what we were looking for. And it was great to finally, because of COVID, get up there and visit with those guys personally. We're in the process of drafting a letter of intent. The letter of intent will actually lead to the process of drafting a contract. And when that contract is complete, it will be presented to the board and then presented to the full membership for a final vote. And we plan on hopefully getting to that vote before the end of 2021. As Michael said, if you have any questions about the partnership, pick up the phone, call any board member. Most of the board members were involved in the process, or call myself. I've had a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails, and I've answered every single one of them personally. I've had, as a matter of fact, when I receive an email on this particular issue, I call back. I don't respond with an email, and I ask, what can I do for you to help you understand the process? One other thing is I wanted to tell everyone out there from the sections that I really appreciate the hospitality that you showed to me as I visited each section meeting. It was great to finally get out and meet people, put names with a face. And, you know, when I got back, I told Michael, I said, now I actually feel like I'm part of the family. I kind of felt like the stepchild for the last, 18 months. But when I actually got out there and got to meet everybody, everybody was so kind and to me, and I really appreciate that. I know Michael feels exactly the same way. He traveled with me to all the section meetings. Now I can get to my report, Laura, if you want to go ahead and pull it up. One of the things that is quite common with associations and nonprofits, even for-profit businesses, is that you would produce an annual report. When I started 18 months ago, I realized that the IAEI had not, to my knowledge, ever produced a written annual report to the membership or general public. So I brought forth the idea to the board, and they thought it was a great idea. So last year I presented a 2020 annual report, and this year I want to just go through my 2021 annual report about activities at the international office. You can scroll down. I'm not going to go through every single sentence on here, but I will say that last year I predicted that this year would be a year of transition. After only 6 months on the job, I recognized that there were some issues, long-standing issues that needed to be addressed, but I did not delve into them until the beginning of this year. And so even by the end of last year, when I put out this report, I knew we would have to go through some transitional process. If you look at last year's report, my final sentence is 2021 will be a year in transition, and it actually has come to fruition. Some of the highlights of the things we accomplished in 2021 is this year, we already had the greatest pool of subject matter experts conducting our trainings. And Jody has actually gone out and secured some new subject matter experts for our 2022 online trainings. We completed 10 on-site trainings. The staff attended and presented at all of the in-person section meetings. As y'all know, y'all probably saw myself and at least 2 staff members, sometimes 4 staff members at your section meetings. We actually finally launched the IAEI courses.org website. If you have not been to our educational website, I just implore you to go there. and visit the website and see all of the educational offerings we have. We now have over 82 online classes available for on-demand training from any place in the world at any time. This is all brand new to this organization. We have our digital education program headed up by Jody, is now fully staffed with 3 people. We also implemented the use of YM in its full force this year. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's working for us right now. We recorded over 30 trainings in the recording studio that we built here in 2020. We launched our new brand identity and logo, and the information related to how to use the logo, what colors to choose, and so forth was sent out to all the sections, divisions, and chapters. If any one of you is on social media, you will have noticed that we have the highest social media presence for this organization in history. I mean, you can't go to any social media platform and not see on a daily basis something being posted through this organization. Another thing we've done this year is Tom Dimitrovich, who has become somewhat of an internet sensation influencer for the electrical industry, has gratefully has agreed to host a Tuesday show for us on behalf of IAEI on YouTube, but he also, you can view it through LinkedIn and other platforms, Facebook and so forth. If you haven't seen it, tune in Tuesdays. It's live at 11 a.m. It's absolutely outstanding. He does an outstanding job for us, and he promotes IAEI throughout the program. We also signed a new contract with CSA, and we were able to give free code books to the Canadian members. We completed and published our firm's Fast Finder and the 1 and 2 family books. We launched a new cross-functional publication and training program with ICC. This is completely separate from what we're working on now. At the end of 2020, ICC approached us and asked us if they could start to work with us jointly on some projects. And in January, we started working with them on selling all of our publications on their website. We did a joint publication of our 1 and 2 family. We became the ICC exclusive digital education safety provider to advertise, and they advertise our training right there on the same page as their own trainings. And we developed a renewable energy guideline publication with ICC, and we had Jimmy Rogers, our renewable energy expert on the board, who worked with us on that and with ICC. Looking forward to 2022, we have some very specific goals that we hope to accomplish with or without a partnership with ICC. I will tell you this, with a partnership, I think these goals will be much easier to attain. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these for time's sake, but I will tell you that the education and technical service division of our organization, the membership division of our organization, and the publications division of our organization have put forth some very, very, very good goals for next year. This publication will be available online. We're going to put it on the website. We'll also publish a link to it on all social media. So you'll have an opportunity to read through this line by line. It's not very long. It's only 4 pages long, but it'll give you a great idea of what you can expect to see from this organization in 2022. Again, if you have any questions about anything, one of the things that I told this board when they hired me was that I believe in full transparency, that we should be open and honest with the membership because they appreciate it. Nobody likes hearing something after the fact that something has happened or something was going on. And the only way to combat that is being fully transparent. And I am committed to being fully transparent with the entire membership. Again, you can email me or call me. As Michael said, I'll always answer my phone. You can call my cell phone. And if you email me, there's a very good chance I'm going to call you back. I'm not going to respond by email. I would just want to say thank you for tuning in today and turn it back over to Mr. Hopkins.
Rudy, thank you very much. Again, if you're looking for any further information, please reach out. all of these reports that you're seeing here today will be made available to the membership. At this time, we're going to open the floor to the attendees who are logged in with us and allow them to ask any questions that they might have. We will do our best to respond. I want to let the entire International Board of Members know that if you have a response, please speak up. And we'd like to give the members as much information as they possibly want. So the first question we have comes in from Timothy. Will the two entities have an opportunity to review and modify the particular proposal based on the must-have, would have, and like to have? No, at this point, the responses were received from both entities and they were scored. And based on those scores, the Board of Directors has chosen at this time to, again, begin negotiations with ICC. We don't have an agreement in place yet, which is why there's no vote at this meeting on any type of partnership.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, is it Timothy? One of the things that occurred is in a normal RFP process. If you've ever had an experience with an RFP process, you never show your cards before you issue the RFP. You don't want to show them your must-haves, would-haves, could-haves. That is what is adopted internally. And then you develop your questions around that list. You issue those questions. The second part of that I can answer is we did go back to each organization and gave them an opportunity if they wanted to change their answers. Go ahead. Do you have something? Do you want to add something? Do you want to take something out? And both organizations basically resubmitted exactly what they had submitted the first time. They doubled down on their initial proposals.
Very good. Thank you. Tom, you good there?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point out that fact too, that we did go back with questions for clarification and to both organizations.
Okay, the next one comes in from an anonymous person. It says, could somebody tell me how many people are attending this meeting? So I'm going to reach out to Laura here and see how many we have logged in currently.
There's currently
105 people are currently logged into the meeting.
You have one about that too.
Missed one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the question. Was IEEE contacted to submit a proposal? So I know we sent out the RFP to, I think, 11 different industry entities. Was IEEE one of them?
I believe they were, Laura. They were.
They were, yes.
And the proposals were sent directly to the CEOs. We wanted to go to the highest level. We secured every CEO's direct email address, and they were sent to the CEOs. In addition to that, they were posted on our website. The request for proposals was on our website. It was on all of our social media repeatedly for a few weeks. So anybody had an opportunity to know what we were looking for.
All right, Timothy, so that takes care of that. Will that report be available for the secretaries? I'm going to have to ask you to let me know what that report is. I don't know which report you're referring to, Lorenzo, so if you could type back in and we'll double back to your question later. Are there any free online courses? And this is Tariq who asked that question.
The Tuesdays are free and those are educational. There's no CEU credits associated with that. So that would be a free educational.
IAEI Live. I try and attend every one of them. I think I've missed one because I was at a section meeting, but I'm on there and I'm usually typing at Tom, telling him what a great job he's doing, or that he's got broccoli in his teeth or whatever. But
and all of those are available on our YouTube channel, so they can go back and watch the historical sessions of those, and even ask questions, and we monitor the questions that come in on each of those episodes.
So there you go. So the full history of those episodes is available, and we're still monitoring those past episodes to try and answer questions that they pop up. So we do have some product out there for you that, and again, the presentation we did this week that Tom did was on fusology. It was fascinating, fascinating. I couldn't tear myself away from it. Next question comes in from Casey. Will we have time to review the entire ICC contract prior to voting? So absolutely, there will be time. And not only will there be time to review it, we're going to open the voting up, I believe, for a 1-week voting
Right.
period. So there will be plenty of time to log in. You know, a week is a long time. And it's the same reason that we opened up the voting for today's election for a week-long period. Not everybody can necessarily sign in during the 2-hour window that this meeting is going on. So we open up the voting and we will do so.
One of the things, again, in the spirit of transparency, we do want to make the entire contract available to the membership, but it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. The contract will be lengthy and it will be wordy and it will have legalese in it. So you may have to find somebody in your section, division, or chapter, or friend to help navigate the contract. But again, that's that we don't want to be accused of hiding anything. So we will release the entire contract for the vote.
Next question comes in from Timothy. Basically, it says that the ICC has chosen to be the partner of IAEI, while the material from NFPA that's currently used by permission, no charge, have to be licensed for a fee from the Nfpa. It's possible that that may be the case. There are also other ways to put out material that doesn't necessarily quote directly from a code book. So we will explore our options, and then depending on how all that plays out, we will do our best to make sure that our materials are still going out there with the best information possible.
There was a second half to that question.
Would it be reasonable to expect that the NFPA would no longer provide its material to the IAEI ICC for no charge? Go.
Yeah, so, what our position on this entire thing with NFPA is we are ready to work hand in hand and continue to work with them as partners as we have for decades. We would hope that our relationship would remain absolutely the same as it has for decades. We anticipated that when we went into this process, we made it as very as objective as possible, with the anticipation that if either party was chosen, we already had programs going on with ICC also, and we have programs going on with NFPA. Whichever one was not selected, we would continue to work with them because we have common missions in mind. So that is our intent here at the IAEI.
Rudy, could you also point out that the code books this cycle for the 2020, what our agreements with the NFPA were, they were not given to us free as before, and we did work agreements with them.
We did,
So
you're correct.
that may change, it may stay the same.
Right, so we at the before we made our decision with NFPA, we had begun negotiating on the code books and also using their language. We were trying to renew our contract. And after we selected our ICC as our potential partner, we have not had any more conversations with them regarding that. I will say this, as a member of IAEI, we can only control what happens in this association. This association and its welfare and its long-term sustainability is our priority. We cannot control, and we have no control of other associations and the choices and decisions that they make.
The point I was trying to make is IAEI Board of Directors chose to go ahead and do the free code books to the members on the last cycle. We absorbed the cost of that.
Right.
So a lot of members didn't realize that there was a cost, but we chose at that time to absorb it. So things could
Rich is
change.
correct. We did not get free books from NFPA last cycle. We had to buy them. There was a discount, no doubt, and we very much appreciated it, but they were not free as they had been in the past.
Thank you.
Next question from Timothy. Has NFPA contacted the board to ask if they could revise their proposal? To my knowledge, they have not.
Well, no, they have not, and it wouldn't matter. Again, you elect the board, we made a decision, we went through due diligence, we went through the process. We kept it subjective. We gave them another opportunity to change their answers. We bent over backwards for both organizations.
2 ICC publications, the 2020 analysis and PV, are currently available online to ICC Digital Codes Premium subscribers. 2 questions. First, does IAEI receive a percentage of the digital codes premium subscription fee for having it there? So I'll have to turn that over to Rudy.
Yes, so what we did is they paid us a flat fee because this was the first time that they were going to use our publications and their digital code subscriptions. So they gave us a flat fee and going for this first year and going forward, we'll be able to renegotiate that. I will say this too, and I reported this to the board. Financially and with manpower here at the IAEI, there was no way we could have transcribed our books into that kind of digital format. It was cost prohibitive and we just don't have the staff. So not only did they compensate us to input it into their digital book, they actually translated it for free. And it's available to us too. Oh, there's a second part.
Second, if their partnership goes through, will other IAEI publications be available there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely they will. Assuming the merger, this questions from William, assuming the merger vote with ICC is positive, how do you see the physical merging of the organizations taking place regarding? Don't see anything there. Well, how do we see the physical merger taking place regarding officers, chapters, and sections? So I'm going to start out. I'm going to let Rudy follow up. It is our hope that when this is all said and done, that the rank and file membership essentially will not notice a change. That is our goal. We don't know if that's doable or not because we haven't gotten to that point in the process, but it is our sincere hope, and ICC has expressed this already in our first meeting in Washington, that we're hoping that there aren't any kind of major changes, especially at the rank and file level. Okay, we're trying to make it so that IAEI operates much in the same way, if not exactly in the same way, as it has to this point in its existence. Rudy, is there anything
I would just add that it's a great question, and I think that was at the top of our must-have list. We did not want our sections, chapters, and divisions tampered with. That was one of the things that we wanted to keep intact. Traveling to the section meetings, it was my first opportunity to see the passion and the dedication that hundreds of thousands of our members are dedicated to those sections, and to have those disappear, that was one of the things that separated the two proposals in black and white.
Budgets and bank accounts. So again, I'm going to speak to the budgets and bank accounts question. In other words, how would the partnership affect that? I want to make it very clear. And this has been IAEI policy since the beginning. If you have money in your section, chapter, or division, those funds belong to that section, chapter, or division. This board of directors does not have any mechanism by which we can reach out and take your funds. And I can assure you that any agreement that we entered into would maintain that same exact status quo. Your money is your money, okay? If your chapter's sitting on 10 grand and that's your chapter money, that's always going to be your chapter money. If your chapter dissolves, it's a different story. At that point, we have rules that say that the money rolls up to the section level. But there is nothing in any potential partnership that would ever affect the assets of the sections, chapters, and divisions. Is there anything?
That's it.
Okay. David Platt, thank you for the transparency and opportunity to attend this meeting. The membership was informed and under the impression that we were on track to institute all the new bylaws to include all members in all areas of the organization. And now in July 2021, the board of directors votes to put out a request RFP to partner with another organization or go out of existence within the next year. And from July 2021, the board of directors votes to unanimously in October 2021 accept and start negotiations with ICC on their proposal for the membership to vote in the partnership merger in December. You'll take it? Okay, let me see here. What happened? What happens to all of that work that was put into that direction?
I don't know, David, if you were on the line prior to typing your question, but I've already answered that question. The membership of any organization elects the board of directors to represent them and make policy decisions. the membership does not get involved in those policy decisions. I would press anyone to find an organization where every time there's going to be a policy decision, they go out to the entire membership and get their input. Voting on your board of directors is your opportunity to have input on those policy decisions. You elect people that you respect and honor and know that they're going to do the very best for the organization. There's, just think about Berkshire Hathaway. That, when Warren Buffett and the board makes a decision, they don't contact every single shareholder of Berkshire Hathaway about that decision. That's what the board of directors is there for, and that's what it is. It's like that in every single organization. I think what you're speaking to is we did vote to make everybody pretty much equal within the organization through the bylaws. And we did want to have everyone to have an equal voice in the say of the organization, enforcer and non-enforcer. But in no way do those bylaws implicate that we're going to reach out, or the board is responsible to reach out and get opinions from every single board member. You will have an opportunity to express your opinion when you vote yes or no. That is your opportunity.
And again, you'll be looking at the contract when you do it. So what's going to happen is this board of directors will review that contract. I suspect that once the details are, hammered out, that we will put forth a recommendation to the membership, but that's all we can do.
Right, just a recommendation.
It's just a recommendation. The actual members have to vote yes or no to decide whether or not we decide to enter into the contract.
One other part of that question that he touches on the to dissolve the organization. I don't see it up there, but I know it was in there because I heard you read it. Again, I would encourage you to read our bylaws. Read the bylaws about what it says about the dissolution of the organization and the way that is required to take place.
Our bylaws are very clear about what would happen if the association were to dissolve.
Correct.
So those rules have already been put into place. They are required by Texas law to be in place in our bylaws. And I can remember having those conversations when we redid the international bylaws a couple of years back. So this information does exist, and I believe our international bylaws are posted on the website. They are?
Yeah.
Very good.
I believe also to this, please communicate with the member you have put on this board to represent you. They will gladly talk to you and keep you informed. Stay involved with your members. That's why you put us on this board. We are a conduit to help you. So keep in touch with us. Let us know your feelings.
Okay, William says, we answered that one, didn't we?
Yeah. That's now.
Douglas, okay. This question is a follow-up. My first one about Digital Codes Premium. Would it be possible to host all of IAI's publications at Digital Code Premiums with a special login for IAI members to access them there?
That's one of the goals of the merger, of the partnership with ICC, is that we want to consolidate those types of things. So it's a win-win it's a win for them and it's a win for us.
Okay, Greg's question. Looking at the two RFPs that were returned to the board, I completely understand the decision that the board made. How will the proposal partnership with ICC affect our relationship with NFPA? Will we still be represented in the Enforcer Academy on all 18 code-making panels? Will we still be provided with the free code books used for distribution to the members? And will there be a licensing agreement equal to our present agreement with this partnership? So I can speak to a couple of those items. Again, our hope is that our relationship with NFPA, which again has been around for decades, remains much the same. That is partially dependent on NFPA. So we will see how things play out there. Will we be represented in the enforcer category? Please be clear, IAI does not have any sort of, nor has it ever had, any sort of a reserved seat on a code making panel. Okay, it's never been the case. The NFPA has relied on the expertise provided by the IAI. Again, we have the best subject matter experts. Nobody questions that. So will there always be an IAI person on a code making panel? I can't answer the question, but I can tell you that was never the case before, any of this started, nor will it be the case afterwards. IAEI never had reserved seats on the code making panels, and I don't anticipate that we would in the future. So, we'll have to see how that goes. The free code books, I think Rudy's already spoken to that. Will the Alliance and ICC have any effect on IAEI's representation on, and if, again, I just answered that one. Again, we have representatives there, and NFPA has been generous enough to reach out to IAEI and ask us to provide them with expertise. That, again, none of those seats were guaranteed IAEI seats. NFPA had certain internal policies where they would have an enforcer category person, but even to today, not every enforcer category person that sits on a code panel is an IAEI representative, right?
And you have to follow the rules of 1/3 of the membership in any one category. So, and IAEI will be there on those code panels. So,
Again, we don't anticipate changes there. But, again, full transparency. So, I have heard from people in the last week that, we're going to lose our guaranteed seat. We never had a guaranteed seat. Okay. It was never the case. Okay. Will the comments be made, comments in the chat be made part of the official meeting minutes? That's you, Rudy.
Yeah, we have them on record. The meeting's being recorded, so yes.
Okay, very good. How will the vote take place for, is it going to be paper ballots or electronic? It'll be electronic.
And paper. Will be. both.
Will we have time to review the entire ICC contract? I think we already answered that one. Yes, there will be. That one's done.
I think on the previous question, I think that somebody's saying there is also paper ballot.
I was informed that it's probably, ask Michelle, she's behind you, she will inform you what's going on. I was told it'll be both paper and electronic.
Okay, so
Give
paper and
everybody the
electronic will be
opportunity.
available? Okay, so paper and electronic ballots will be available. We answered that one. Casey's question is good. David, what options will we be voting on in December? One is to endorse the final negotiated contract. What will be the alternative or alternatives? At this point in time, we have decided that we are seeking a relationship with ICC. There will be a contract negotiated. It'll be made available, and your vote will be on yes, accept the contract, or no, don't accept the contract.
I think when you ask, will there be an alternative or alternatives? There will be no alternative or alternative for a vote. It's just one simple up or down vote. The alternative is that we keep operating in the same fashion that we've been operating with the realities that we've been facing for 20 years. And the decline in membership, the decline in revenues, with no quick fix to fix those things. That's the alternative.
Okay, so Ryan Jackson asked, I'm concerned about the declining membership. A big incentive has been the free code book. Do you foresee that continuing after joining with ICC? So again, as I stated earlier, we didn't get a free code book last time. The board of directors voted to add money in and spend money to buy those books and provide them free to the members. But this has already been something that didn't exist in the true sense of the word free. So how this proceeds in the future is again going to be something that this board of directors is going to discuss in all likelihood tomorrow at the board meeting.
And I think another thing Ryan is alluding to there is that it's an incentive to become a member of IAEI because you get a free code book, not necessarily that we purchased them for free.
Right.
And I guess one of the ways I can also address that is the last conversation that I had with NFPA, their offer was to sell our members access to Link for $100 a year. That the code book in print form was not on the table at our final conversation. They would give us basically a 20% discount to our members to join Link, their new online platform.
And to be clear, that conversation happened before we sent out a request for proposals. Make sure everybody understands the timing.
Before we scored, before we made our decision.
Before we made our decision, but it was after.
Right, after we.
So to be clear, that's not an offering right now from NFPA. That's just discussions.
Correct.
But nothing was ever agreed
No.
upon. So make sure.
Do you have an estimated time frame for when the contract will be ready for review? We're hoping to hold the vote before the end of the year. So you're probably looking at December timeframe for when that would be available to be reviewed. And again, that's a hope. If we start getting down to the weeds here and the lawyers get involved and what have you, we may have to tack on a couple of weeks to the process, and that's just going to be what it is. We don't want to rush the process, I think is what you want to walk away from. We're not trying to jam this in before the end of the year. We're hopeful that a proper and careful process can be completed before the end of the year. But that's not a promise, it's a hope. Board member Daniel Langlois. Some questions are included in the chat section of the meeting. Please review the chat box also. So apparently some people ask questions in the chat, and I guess Laura, you're on your game. You got that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll jump over to that.
All right, very good. We'll jump over to that. I'm sorry, is that name Tread? Tread? Okay. Prior to voting, will you be able to provide or present a synopsis of the contract to the membership? The answer is absolutely yes. If you don't want to go through the whole legal verbiage of the whole thing, there will be I'll call it an outline of the contract, okay? The structure of the contract, what's in it for them, what's in it for us, and we want to give you an opportunity. If you want to get a high level look at it, you'll have that. If you want to dig down into it, you'll have that opportunity as well. Again, the question is it going to be paper ballots or electronic? It's going to be both. So we've answered that one. Timothy, well done answering all the questions. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Will the alliance with ICC, this is from Brian Rock, will the alliance with ICC affect IAEI's ability to license contact with IAEI publications with outside organizations for use in the publications of those outside organizations? I'm not sure I understand the question.
I do, and I think he's asking, are we, he's talking about, is alluding to one organization in particular. Again, Brian, we can only control what we can control within our organization. We do not have control what other organizations do. Our intent going into this, our intent making the decision, and even after the decision was made, was that we were still hoping to have the same kind of relationships with all organizations. It's a misnomer to think that we only had contractual relationships with one organization. We have relationships with several organizations that we work with like-minded organizations. So we hope we do, but we can't control what other organizations do.
Brian asked if the membership does not approve the merger with ICC, and again, partnership's a better word there, but what is the backup plan? The backup plan is going to be very simple. This board is going to do everything in its power to continue to put forth policies and run the business to keep the doors open. That's really what we're going to do. We put out a request for proposals to 11 different industry entities, and we received back 2, and the board of directors determined that only one of them was really a viable solution. So that's where we are on that one. When will the contract be able to review? Time frame? Again, we're shooting for a December time frame. What would IAEI look like if the membership approves? This is from Paul. Approves the ICC RFP. Would there be additional benefits? We certainly hope there would be additional benefits. Again, we don't have an agreement to answer specific questions from, but we are absolutely looking for a win-win. ICC right now is not as strong as they would like to be in electrical training and electrical expertise and electrical knowledge. That is what we bring to the table, okay? They are strong in the fact that they have 60,000 members, and a lot of them are multi-hat members with an electrical certification. There's almost a natural marriage there. And we're hoping that in the end, there are additional benefits for the existing ICC members, and there are additional benefits for our existing and new IAEI members. Great question.
I think if I might add, when we met with, and I said this during my report, when we met with the CEO and the executive director, the highest officials at ICC, they were open to every single suggestion we made. They did not say, oh, we can't do that. We talked about a bunch of different ideas that were win-win in the process. Could you do this? And this would bring you this. And they said, almost every one of their answers was yes, absolutely. That's what we want to do.
would the entire membership, this is from Lorenzo, would the entire membership have to vote on the proposal? What happens if only 20% vote?
We only need 2% of the paid membership to vote on this issue.
I would encourage to get your members, talk to your other members, and get everybody to vote. The more we encourage others, the better off we'll all be. So I appreciate that. Please also reach out to your fellow members and encourage them to get involved.
Joe Valentini, I think we answered your question already. How many members required for a voting quorum? Again, Rudy, I think just answered that.
It's 2% of the paid membership.
2% of the paid membership. John Rock asks, would you comment on typical roadblocks experienced with individual state approvals for IAEI educational seminars to issue CEUs? With the quality and diversity of IAEI training, one would think approval would be a slam dunk. Is this typically a long process? So I'm going to let Rudy finish the answer because this has been, I think, one of his frustrations, not because of anything that's wrong with us. The states all have their own rules, and we are currently navigating that maze. And we have states that say, sure, we'll approve your CEUs. You have to submit the program to us 6 months in advance. Tell us on what date you'll have the event, and there's a $100 fee associated with it. Well, that doesn't work for us. We don't always know on what date 6 months in advance there's going to be an IAEI training. Sometimes you do, but not always. Other states have requirements like if you don't live in the state, you can't be a CEU provider within the state. So we, unless we can find somebody who lives in that state and will always be available to provide that program within that state, we can't get that approved. So I agree with you. You would think that it's a slam dunk. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the various very intricate and 50 different state laws that we're dealing with, we're finding this isn't so much of a slam dunk, aren't we, Rudy?
Well, Mike, to add to that, you can get, if you go to the New England states, all 6 of them, you could get CEUs issued, and the CEUs are good, just can't use them to renew your license. So they've tied in the retraining to a license renewal requirement in the New England states, and the people providing the education have to be licensed in the state in which the education is being given. And so, yeah, you can have CEUs, just can't use them for your license renewal.
To Rudy, in some of your conversations, ICC being bigger, do they have more opportunities to help us get into some of these things?
Absolutely. So this is one of the greatest benefits of partnering with ICC. And I don't know if everybody recognizes this, but the United States legislature has it on the books, a law that says the states in the United States must adopt the IRC and the IBC. They allow them to amend it at a state level, but that is something that came out of the United States Congress. So states are required to use those 2 building codes. They can adopt other building codes too, but they are required to, and they can amend them. When you have that much input and that much authority within a state, you obviously have connections, and they have those connections, and they have an entire staff that works on getting their programs that they do offer for like mechanical, whatever, certified in the states. So that is absolutely a thing they can help us with.
Question comes in from Chris. Will the partnership, will dues be combined, or will we still pay separate ICC and IAEI dues? So we are well aware of the fact that there are many members that hold a membership in both organizations. So we have not yet gotten to that point in figuring out the nature of the relationship, but it is certainly something that we're looking at doing, where you'd be able to get partner or get membership in both associations at hopefully some sort of a discounted rate, so that you'd be able to hold on to your ICC membership, you'll be able to hold on to your IAEI membership, and you'll be able to continue your relationship with both organizations. If you're currently a member of both organizations, you're finding a value in both organizations. And that's great. We're not trying to change that. Let's hope that this partnership ends up with a result where if you decide to join both simultaneously, again, it's a win-win situation. It's good for the member, it's good for the IAEI, it's good for ICC, And as an incentive to join both organizations, I'm hoping we can come up with some sort of a discount program. We're not at that point in the process, but it is absolutely something that we're considering.
Yeah, we did discuss it with them in Washington, and they were open to it.
They're
They
open.
actually brought it up.
All right. Question from Kenneth. Is there any consideration in trying to salvage IAI with some sort of new business model? I'm open on ICC and it looks like our best option. So the short answer is we've tried. We have a 20-year decline in our membership from 25,000 members to currently around 8,000 members. I can assure you the board of directors, I've been here for 12 years. We have not been sitting on our hands during that time period, during that decline, and just saying, oh, well, it is what it is. There have been attempts made across a number of fronts to find a way to bring more members in. And the one thing I can tell you is this is not an IAEI problem. This is a membership association problem. Membership associations are seeing overall a decline in their memberships. A great many large associations have recently shuttered their doors. They did indeed dissolve the association. They just didn't have the members to keep the doors open. Okay, if you don't have that revenue coming in, you can't pay the staff and you can't develop training materials and what have you. Rudy, I'm sure.
Well, I just think that one of the things that was interesting with ICC is that while most organizations are losing members and their membership is declining, we found out that over the past 10 years, ICC's membership increased by 10,000 members. That can't be said for most large organizations. That was very impressive to hear.
I'd say too that even though we're going into this partnership and we're doing some work with ICC, that doesn't mean that we have to stop. It's not the end all, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do to work with that organization, help grow our value to the electrical industry. So
Absolutely.
that journey will continue. We have still a lot of work forward.
Tom makes a great point. Everybody should understand if the membership decides that yes, this partnership is the way to make sure that IAI continues forward, it's not the end of the process, it's the beginning of the process, okay? It's then the board's job and the staff's job and the CEO's job to try and rebuild our membership numbers, okay? Better training offerings, better member benefits, whatever it takes. But now we're gonna have, we're gonna have a bigger bear in the enclosure with us, and hopefully that will help the process.
Rudy,
Right.
could you expand on how they appreciate our brand?
Right.
You
So-
brought to us with IEI, how they appreciate us. Could you expand on that?
Absolutely. They had no intention of ever doing away with our brand. They found that our brand was one of our most valuable assets, the 94-year history that we have. The ability, our educational materials, they valued that. They valued our publications. They understood that, they're the best out there. I mean, they brought that up over and over again.
So Casey Littlefield asked, what did ICC have issues with at the meeting in DC? And the answer is, we didn't discuss issues. So, unless Rudy or David remember something that I don't, this was a very high level introductory meeting to try and feel each other out. And they asked some things and we asked some things, and the overall, what I walked away with was there's a really strong possibility of a great relationship here. And I'll let you guys.
Yeah, it was discussed regarding how the II is set up. And, ICC wasn't real familiar with our organization, and they wanted to get more information about what we did, our publications, our membership, how all that is set up with our sections, chapters, and divisions, which they're not used to. So there's a lot of good dialogue between both sides, and I think it's going to be a great partnership.
All right, great. Next, Vice Chairman Dave Williams, thank you very much for that response. So that one's done. Charles Mello, the membership voting is guided by the bylaws. That is correct. Great comment. David Shapiro, are states required to adopt any particular edition of the IRC? In other words, stay at all up to date?
No.
I'm going to say no on that one unless somebody can correct me. So again, we have states' rights here in the United States. So, I'm in Pennsylvania. We're on the 2014 edition of the National Electrical Code and the 2015 I codes. And I know other states in the Northeast are on the 17 and some of the states are on the 20. So. Piggybacking on dues, what will future dues be going to? Meaning, what will members get for the money? Well, hopefully everything you're currently getting and then some.
I think those are all details that need to be
Yeah.
worked out in the agreement. It's really hard to answer.
Yeah, that's a very.
I don't know where else to go with that one.
Stay tuned for further development.
You know, stay tuned for further developments is a great line. Very good. Not a question, but a statement. This is from Amrinder. Thank you for the IAEI Board of Directors and staff for everything all do. This guy's from the Northeast for sure. For us members every day. Well, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for being a member. We absolutely appreciate it. Ryan Jackson, I only found out about today's meeting from a chapter on the opposite side of the country. How will the rank and file members be made aware of December's meeting and the importance to IAEI's future? So I just heard a little wince from the back of the room, and I know why. We have sent the notice of this meeting out to every member, and the only way you didn't get this notice is if somewhere in your member profile, you have opted out of communications from the international office. But this notice, and I challenge anyone in the room to tell me this notice didn't go out, because my inbox, I'm the chairman of the board, my inbox was inundated with, don't forget the annual meeting's coming up. Don't forget, you're gonna sign in. Don't forget. Laura, you killed me. There was a lot of emails. I'm just kidding. Okay.
In addition to that,
Also, look at your membership profile, make sure everything is current and up to date. You may not have, or you may have moved jobs during this pandemic or other things. Things may have changed and you may have forgot to update your membership. Make sure everything is current and up to date. That will help staff. That will help sections, chapters, and divisions.
yeah, and Ryan, I just want to say that I follow you on LinkedIn, and if you're following IAEI, there was no way you could have not seen it. Was posted on all of our social media about this meeting repeatedly, and that's been going on for at least a month and a half.
If somebody's.
And we sent a letter.
Yeah.
We sent a letter, a bright envelope.
If somebody's opted out of receiving emails, can they opt back in again? Is
Yes.
that in their profile?
Yes. You can go into your member profile at IAEI.org and just make sure if for some reason your box opted out of emails is checked, just uncheck it, confirm that your email address is spelled correctly, and you should be receiving the information from us. Will any of those trainings, this is from Lorenzo, will any of those online trainings be available in any chapter division at no cost? At least one or two as part of the membership benefits?
I can answer that. So one of the things that we make it available to all the chapters, sections, chapters, divisions, is we will allow you, if you're having a meeting, this is another value added benefit and a fundraising opportunity for your chapter. If you're having a meeting and you want to utilize one of our on-demand trainings, all you have to do is contact us and we'll give you access to it. And if you have a screen like this and sound, you can show it and charge people to come in and view it. I mean,
They can even do Zoom meetings and leverage the resources of the
Right.
IO to host that Zoom meeting.
absolutely. We're making that event. Now, if you want one of our guys to come out and travel and do one live, that's going to cost you. Or you want one to do live in the office, we will charge you because that's staff overhead. But any of the on-demands, they're available for the sections, division, chapters to earn some income on them.
Very good. Casey, thanks to the IO board, I have concerns that our biggest financial draw is our IO. I have lots of concerns for the future of IAEI, and like most, I'm still skeptical of a partnership with ICC. So staff costs money. I'm going to go right there. If your IO staff went away, let's just think about what would go away. None of your members would be billed for their dues. Nobody would collect those dues. Nobody would remind the member to renew their membership. Somebody has to take that money to the bank. Okay. Somebody has to keep an account of it because we have nonprofit status with the IRS. Your volunteers on your chapter board of directors would have to take over those duties. The analysis of changes would go away. The source book on grounding and bonding would go away. The 1 and 2 family book would go away. I don't think I need to keep going, okay? So, you know, your international office, this is our core. And this is where member services begin, and this is where member benefits begin. And I know for a fact, if I came back to my chapter and said, all right, guys, we just became the dues collecting division of the Benjamin Franklin chapter, and now one of us has to put on our accounting hat 4 times a month and send out invoices and then grab that money and renew it and make a note somewhere that this person is a member. Oh, what's the renewal date? Because your renewal date's February 1 and you're April 23rd and you're December 6th. Guys, there are so many things that you are not realizing that you're getting because we have an international office. As far as the expense, I make no excuses for it, okay? This International Board of Directors approves a budget every year that includes paying great people good money to get a top quality work product out of it, okay? Can we cut staff expenses? Absolutely, okay? Go out, we can fire everybody and we can go ahead and pick up a bunch of kids out of college and you're gonna get what you paid for. So I will absolutely defend our hiring decisions and the budget that is put forward every year. Again, we spend hours and hours and hours as a board of directors going over these finances. We meet with the auditor, we meet with the bookkeeper, we get input from the CEO, and he explains to us things that maybe aren't clear to us in those financial statements. I will not make excuses for it. We are running a tight ship. We don't waste money on things. Rudy's already taken us out of some contracts that weren't good for us. We were losing money on a contract that there was no reason to lose it on. And Rudy stepped in and said, this is BS, and he took us out of it. And I'm very happy for that. So
sometimes a picture speaks more than 1,000 words. And just to give a visual, so this is a stack of our 60-day renewal notices that this organization sends out weekly.
We send them out every month.
Every month, but we send out 60, 30, 90.
60, 30. No, we don't send out 60 and 30.
60, 30.
Lapse 60, 30, 90 days.
Okay. So just imagine if your chapter section division was just responsible for this single task on its own. I mean, that's what you get for that $120 you're paying a month, is that we do all of the administrative work. This is just one stack of multiple stacks that we do every month. And so, you can see this it's thicker than a Houston phone book.
now, by the way, whatever dues you would pay to your chapter wouldn't include a magazine either, because the magazine would go away.
Our CEUs.
No CEUs.
Yeah.
Remember, it's IAEI that is accredited here at the international office by the IACET to evaluate and issue CEUs. That accreditation would also go away if the IO went away. Now your chapter has to go someplace and get accredited to provide continuing education in your area. Correct.
Develop the programs.
Develop the programs too.
I'd like to speak on that skepticism. This board did have conversations as a full board with the CEO of ICC in making our decisions. And that skepticism was brought up because there are some ICC chapters that there was trouble with. And he assured us, one, he can't control every chapter, but he assured us from the top, he would look into it and see what he can do to help out to dispel a lot of that skepticism. You don't normally get that from that level, and he was willing to work and help us out.
So the next one here is from Tred, and it says, prior to voting, would there be a synopsis of the contract? So that's been answered. Yes, there would be a synopsis for sure.
I think one other thing we talked about at the board, which Dominic agreed to, is a joint presentation, a video presentation by himself and mine, kind of just going through the contract and explaining it on demand for the membership. Do it live, and so we can answer questions and then do it on demand.
So in response to Lorenzo's talking to somebody else in the conversation, but please rest assured, IAEI and ICC are not looking to write their own electrical code. That's been something that I've heard that's been out there on the street. We have no interest in trying to write an electrical code from scratch. NFPA is really, really good at that. And we plan to leave it to them to do so. And we're hoping we'll continue to reach out and use our expertise to make that process.
Can you go back up to
Yeah, go
Christine
back
Porter?
up to Christine. One other thing that I want to add is ICC, through a legally court-appointed order, cannot develop an electrical code. And that was reiterated to us when we met with them in Washington. They have no interest in developing an electrical code at all, and they can't by legal court order.
Sorry, Christine, I saw the comment below, but not yours, so it was actually a response to Christine Porter. No, we will not be writing an electrical code. No, ICC doesn't want to write an electrical code. No, we're not trying to strike a backroom deal to write an electrical code. The electrical code will come out of NFPA as it has always and should into the future. Plat, I believe we spoke at section meetings about no cost educational material. Again, as Rudy said, we have that no cost educational material is already available to you. All you have to do is reach out to the IO, which if it goes away, there's no PowerPoint, there's no recorded video sessions, there's nothing. You don't have a source program where you can grab 400 slides and pick the 30 best and do an hour on them. It wouldn't be there. There'd be nobody here developing all of these support benefits for the sections, chapters, and divisions. Anybody else seeing a question up there that we should respond to? Most of this is comments that have happened in the chat, but some people did put a question into their chat. And so we wanted to try and respond to those as well.
Thank you.
Can we go back up to the Q&A button then? Because I see a couple of new ones in there. It also came snail mail, so this must have been David Platt saying that there was a mailing out for the notice of this meeting. Part of my dues include code book every 3 years. Will that be affected? Again, it was already affected last code cycle. So we don't know how all that is going to shake out. Again, it is our hope to continue to provide some sort of code benefit to the membership, but we honestly don't know where we are on that yet.
I can answer the next
Go
one,
ahead.
because I've had conversations. So the Paul, this question is, does ICC and NFPA already have an existing professional relationship? Absolutely. We were told about different projects that they are working on and they've worked on in the past and are working on currently together. They have a good relationship. There's no animosity between those organizations, according to their CEO.
All right. Thank you from Pittsburgh. Great.
No, thank yous, guys.
Thank you, Yins. There you go, my buddy Yins. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Yous, we're down in the South right now, so I think everybody knows what y'all is, right?
Right.
And then if it's all y'all, it's everybody, right? Do I understand this correctly? Okay. Well, up in the Northeast, we don't say y'all, we say yous. Okay, if it's singular, it's you. If it's plural, it's yous. And in Pittsburgh, it's yins.
Yins, guys.
Yins guys, okay? So there you go. You've got a little cultural background here from some of the areas around.
In New England, we speak proper English. We don't do it.
Well, I learned that from Ma.
You're just busy.
All
In the
right, Christine Porter, the candidates we voted on were mostly just names too many. Can you tell a bit about who's the enforcer and non-enforcer member now?
I think she's like, who are they that got elected?
She missed the initial part and didn't see who won.
Oh,
That's my
okay.
guess.
To the answer to that, the bios were posted. I received from all the candidates and I worked with them to get a bio to describe themselves so you would be able to read those when you looked at that for the voting purposes. The applications had more of a resume and we sent back out to all the available candidates and asked for pictures and bios so you would understand they could tell you a little bit about themselves. It was not something we created, they created about themselves.
And can you announce the name of the winners again, Laura?
It was Mike Savage and Tim McClintock.
Yeah. Mike Savage is the enforcer, Tim McClintock as the non-enforcer.
I think Christine knows both of them.
I think she does, but for those of you who don't know them, I assure you that two very, very qualified people just got elected to this board of directors.
Let me throw something else out there for the membership to consider, because this is something that we discussed internally about you know, there was a lot of discussion about, can we get out of this contract if it doesn't work out? Let me tell you, they're equally as concerned about that too. You know, it's a two-way street. That and the fact that we actually discussed, one of the demands that we wanted was, could we get one of our board members or our board chairman to sit on the ICC board? We just solved that problem because Savage is a member on the ICC board. He is now on our board. He is now on their board. So we now have a board member sitting on the ICC board.
Okay, Carter Board, and how is the IO board composed? So how many members are there? There are 15 members plus the CEO, right?
Yes.
Ex officio. We are currently in the transition from the old board structure to the new board structure. So the old board structure was that there were 3 representatives from each of the sections, the secretary of the section and 2 elected representatives, one of which was elected to be in the chairs, as we said here in the room. You basically were working your way up towards the position of international president. I got you. Right now, the board has been restructured so that we have 1 representative from each section, and that we have a series of at-large positions that are available. So those positions are slowly opening up as we transition from, we essentially took the old board, made it the new board, and people were put into certain named positions, such as you're a specialist position. Well, I'm not really a specialist, but that's the position I'm filling during the transition period. So how many people roll off the board every cycle?
Right now, we have the 6 section board members that are represented and picked by their boards. We have 6 at-large positions, and at this time, there is only 1 position that is not rolled off in that. We have 3 at-large specialists, and the 1 person will roll off next cycle, and we will then have 3 at-large specialists, leaving only 1 person left from the original board that was put into a slot. We will then be almost fully transitioned to the new policy board that was voted on, 3 years ago, I believe?
Yeah.
So we're slowly transitioning. We've got it down here. The new people moving in are filling some of those positions. It's going very well. We now have a grasp, since in the beginning with all the positions trying to figure, it was a lot more difficult. And I think it's going to go forward in a real good position. And the membership is the one now that has the choices for all the at-large position. The membership has the opportunity in their sections to pick a section representative that they feel supports their views and ideas to send to the board. And then we have the specialists that are going to assist the board in things that we need. As an example, Thomas Davidovich was brought on as a training specialist, and he has contributed immensely to this board over the last year. We'd like to thank him. We'd like to thank those that voted for him. It worked out very well. So, as the members, you have the opportunities in any form to choose who serves on this board of directors. And we're trying to keep it as open and transparent as we can.
And that, may I add that process will not change with the ICC partnership. We will continue, the membership will continue to dictate who sits on this board. They will not have a hand in it, nor do they want a hand in it.
That's correct. So Paul Asselin from Western Massachusetts says, wicked awesome presentation. Only a guy near Boston could have said that. David Williams.
Just elaborate on the board. We have the 6 section representatives. We have 2 enforcer positions. We have 2 non-enforcer positions, 2 secretary positions, and 3 specialty positions. So that's the 15 people.
Right. Very good. So last comment here seems to be that Mike Savage's LinkedIn profile appears to indicate he is the director of board of directors at ICC. So as we stated, we believe he now sits on both boards, which is a good thing. I must presume that the Alliance will discuss dual memberships. Will IACC encourage a jurisdiction to pay for dual memberships with the partnership? So I don't know that ICC currently encourages memberships to pay for, or jurisdictions to pay for their membership, right? Do they actually encourage jurisdictions?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But I
So
will tell you this, that, building officials have a direct relationship with ICC, and they're usually the ones that determine what dues they're gonna pay in for the electrical the inspectors. So I think that benefits us tremendously also.
So again, as discussed, we're hoping we can come to an arrangement of some sort of combination membership, dual membership, that hopefully would be offered at some sort of a discount so that if you'd like to be a member of both organizations, you can be. Tell members to add customer service at iai.org as a contact to your email to ensure receiving IO blast messages. I think that's a great one. Very good, Laura. Well done.
I think I see a bunch of concerns about the number of people that attended this meeting. It was up to like 105 earlier. Now we dropped down to 89. And I think that's why we're gonna, and they're related to, well, how many people will actually see the contract? And that's why we had, how many people actually voted in the election? Or it's close to 500. It might have been 600. So that definitely exceeded what we require for a quorum. So I don't want anybody to think that just because we have this many people on this meeting, that's how many people will participate in the voting on the contract. I'm anticipating that's going to be several thousand maybe, just because of the issue.
And I'll make a statement if I could. If you're here and you've appreciated the reports you've received and the transparency that's been here today and the live answering of your questions, please bring this back to your next chapter meeting and let them know you really should have signed into the annual meeting. Okay, there was valuable information as a member of this organization to be had there. So 714 people voted. Thank you, everyone. I think we're finally out of questions. Really appreciate everybody who showed up here today. Thank you for signing in. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your workday. We understand that you are busy and that we've taken some time from your ability to earn a living. So thank you very much. Again, the conversation is not over. While this meeting might be over, please reach out to any of us on the international board or here at the international office. We are willing to talk to you. We are willing to share information with you. We want you to understand the process, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and hopefully we'll be able to convince you that it's the right thing to do when the time comes. Thank you again to everybody involved. I want a special thanks to Laura Hildreth, our technology genius, who made it so that we could all appear on camera, and we have a new camera that pans and tilts around the room. Laurie did a wonderful job here. Laura also scrolled us through all of those various questions and got us so that we could move along rapidly through the process. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of being your chairman of the board for the last 2 years. And I wish you all a good rest of the week. Meeting adjourned.